Contrast also challenges, no, I don't like that word, assists you on your limiting beliefs. It keeps showing you your limiting belief, your limiting belief, your limiting belief, your limiting belief. It keeps showing up and showing up and showing up. And we have to be with it in a different way, because Einstein said it, you do not create something new with the same energy. You have to bring in new energy so that when the contrast comes into the vortex, how do we be with it in a different way? So now we're going to start to practice, and I'm going to start giving you guys homework. Other thing I want to remind you guys of, because we've talked about it, be curious to see who remembers, which is mirror neurons. Anybody remember that conversation? Okay, great. Mirror neurons are, when we have an experience, we create a neurobiological connection to it. Like I'm at the baseball field and I'm playing, baseball or something, and the experiences I have create this kind of neuronal connection to what it is that I'm experiencing. The other thing I want to remind you is that the other way that you create mirror neurons and its impact on you is by what you witness. An example is, does anybody remember the guy who broke the 4-minute or the 1-minute mile?
Bannister was
4 minute.
4 minute. Is that Roger Bannister?
Yes, that's who it is. And everybody's like, it's impossible. And he does it. And then next thing you know, like the next week, everybody's doing 4-minute miles. What the hell is that? It's mirror neurons. Once we see it, and that's what I want to remind you guys, is that we think we have to see it in order for it to come into the vortex. What I'm saying from a non-physical perspective is you're going to imagine it and let that be your mirror neuron and start to create it. Does this make sense? This is a nice one. This is a holiday gift from me to you. All right, so let me hear thoughts, considerations, disagreements. Let me hear who's where, or a story, not a big story, but something.
I just had sort of a thought. I mean, I'm wondering, for some people, is contrast like an addiction? Like you have,
nice.
You get addicted to that, and
Totally.
you keep replicating your own. You bring that contrast because you're just used to it, and you think like you're so close to getting away from it or moving on, and
then they sabotage themselves.
And then
right?
I get, yeah. And so I wonder, is there some?
Yes.
Why would? I mean,
You gotta understand something, hon. It doesn't make sense, but it's a very real factor, is that familiarity is much more comfortable. So when you're familiar, even though you don't want it in your vortex, there's something very powerful about having the notion, the sensation that you know what's coming back next, even if it's nasty stuff.
and it keeps coming back.
And it keeps coming back, and there's a familiarity. And yes, people do get in that motion of calling it in with replication because there's familiarity. It's like when I've worked with folks who were in partnerships with, let's go with the most obvious, physical abuse. And they're like, I can't go. But they would say, I can't handle this anymore either. And this is men too, friends. And the idea is that even though they knew that each night was going to be horrific, there was something so familiar about it. And the other factor is if you don't feel worthy of expanding, you will sabotage it. If you think something's wrong with you, you will sabotage it. So the idea is a couple of thoughts that I kind of jotted down before I got here. I got some information. So, the idea is think about this. And if you want to share, we will. But I want you to think about these thoughts, which is, how does your environment or the people around you relate to the way you feel about yourself? You see what I'm saying? Here's a nice one. How do you feel about your body? What? I just got lashed.
How dare you?
How do you respond to conflict and contrast? Think about this one, folks. Think about this one. And then we got to be with where you think it's coming from. Where's the contrast coming from? If you think it's coming from your aligned self, it's coming from the downloaded programming. And what I'm going to keep reminding you is that until we get to the core of that downloaded programming, it's going to keep showing up and manifesting in your frequency, and it's going to keep getting broadcast and then therefore manifested.